Two Canadians walk into a bar. "Oh, hey, it's your birthday. I stopped by your house earlier, but you weren't there." "Your wife was, though, and I propositioned her for sex." "She said no, and so I murdered and probably raped her." We good? Comic books, am I right?
He's got a watch with a minute hand, millennium hand, and an eon hand.
Not even making this up. That was the original interaction between Wolverine and Sabretooth in 1989's Wolverine issue number 10. Kind of thing that sticks with a little kid, you know what I'm saying? And that was sort of a long-running idea that they had cooked up in the books at the time, is that every year, these guys had a history, their pasts are mysterious, but every year on his birthday, dude would track him down and whip his ass. The rape and murder of his wife at the time was just him literally icing that cake, you know what I'm saying? Alright, but some 40 issues later, we would find Kayla, Silver Fox, alive and well. Her, Victor, and James had all been part of an experiment to create living weapons. This left them all with some serious mental damage. Over 30 years later, why have we never gotten an action figure of her? Well, we've gotten plenty of Wolverines, and today I want to go ahead and focus on the Marvel Universe 3.75-inch action figure, Wolverines. So Hasbro's Marvel Universe action figure line, in the vein of their Star Wars and G.I. Joe figures, debuted in 2009 with the first wave, including Wolverine in his X-Force costume. Very timely, as this had just debuted in the books a couple of years prior. All on its own, it is a pretty nice, solid action figure. The proportions are very much wrong, though. He's very big compared to other characters. I think they were just trying to go all in on the sculpt and the articulation and such, and they just kind of lost their heads as far as where he sat in relation to the other characters. But he's got individually sculpted claws here. They're not always in the best shape. But, you know, it's really not too bad for how that goes. They haven't sculpted it or colored anything for as far as the housings go. But otherwise it's a really nice looking action figure. It's got that black and silver. And, you know, looking at it here, interestingly, it's got the shorts sculpted, and I wasn't really paying attention to that before, as though it's a different costume, which we would get. We'd see this repainted as every iteration that was relevant at the time. But this was the first to release. I guess maybe the Secret Wars 2-packs were sort of concurrent. They had all this stuff in the works anyway, is what I'm saying, because that's a sculpt for some trunks that this dude doesn't have, but the others do. But this being the very first Marvel Universe toy line Wolverine action figure, I want to take a bit of a closer look at it. The head sculpt is pretty nice. He's got the little red eyes, tight little mouth there. The neck is just ludicrous, though. It's way up here on this thing. He's got a really long sort of giraffe neck thing happening. But the arms are nice and meaty here. He's got a bicep swivel, but no butterfly shoulders and no double-jointed elbows. Not even a wrist hinge. This is year one of this line. But technically, 2008 saw the release of the X-Men Origins Wolverine movie action figures that are essentially in the same thing. It's analogous to today how we have Marvel Legends line, right? Comic figures and movie figures, but they're all in the same packaging. In these days, they had the Marvel Universe packaging proper, and then they had sort of sister lines representing movies or cartoon shows that would come along, and they all fit together. But they were made of different parts by different teams, presumably. Well, the original Marvel Universe packaging did look like such. Very clean, little blister, little bit of a cross-sell. These X-Men Origins ones had their own slightly different look with this awful sort of animated version of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine with his crazy hair. Did you guys see how they were achieving that stuff way back when, like the first X-Men movie? He was growing his hair super long, and they were like folding and wrapping and rolling it. I mean, whose hair would do that anyway? They nailed it later on, I think, by just having it a little bit shorter. But so I still have these originals, bought when it came out here. It's just happenstance that I was looking around and got back into the toy game at this time. But we get a blue and yellow, you know, limited-ish articulation, ball-jointed legs. We get the brown and gold here with the tiny Muramasa blade. Claws are stuck together. Different leg sculpts here, but the same torso and everything as that other one. And then then we get a Weapon X, and this is just sort of a laughable effort, really. I mean, look at it next to the new Marvel Legends Weapon X. That is an outstanding figure. This, you can see why I didn't really... These I knew at the time would be just as fun to me in package as out, because not only are they not very solid figures, but they would all see re-releases as time would go. Taking a closer look at those, though, the Origins line would have its own movie and comic-based figures. So you got bizarre throwaway stuff like this Wolverine in this tactical gear, you know. You also got characters like Gambit and Maverick and Deadpool. Some would bizarrely never see a re-release or proper Marvel Universe release, like this Gambit. It's just not a very good figure. Ripe for an update, but there would have been some unique tooling they would have had to do, I guess, so they just decided not to. You know, a little Maverick, we're just doing a little quick show off of these guys. I don't want to keep you here all day. Who wouldn't want a nice comic Deadpool, though? But I would like to quickly run through the original Origins Wolverine line figures here. One's like a brown and gold. It's going to have the whole same upper torso action as the blue and yellow. But in fact, the arms are a little different because it doesn't have the shoulder striations. The musculature, the head is different, the legs are different, the boots are a little bolder at the points. That's nice, but the hands and the claws are the same. And it's just, there's no wrist hinge, so it's just kind of twists on this. And my problem with these is there's no way to put these arms where they look good. You want to know what the sculptors intended. It's like, what the hell is this? I mean, here I am loving Wolverine, trying to love him as hard as I can with my $6.49 or whatever, and this is what they got for me. You know? How they do, they want to milk a thing, you know, so they're going to kick you back out this guy, but with a different head, an unmasked head. That's not very good. That's not very good. But here he is, and he's just like that other one, with these big, awful, bizarre-looking shoulder pads. What's that about, man? Why is that so hard? More movie-style stuff. No, sorry, this would be a comic one, just built on that same frame. It just is supposed to have a more comic-style head. He's got the bone claws there, and just the tightest, the painted on jeans, man. Look how you can see all of that musculature through there. That's ridiculous. Little boots down here. Just ball joint city, though, with all these Origins figures. It's all ball joints coming out of, you know, the old Marvel Legends stuff, which has just recently sort of been resting. Got it resting. Again, same thing with the arms. It's very difficult to get them in a convincing pose. You do get a jacketed version, and this is actually pretty quality little tiny Hugh Jackman figure, ball joints notwithstanding. It's super, super tight clothes notwithstanding. He's got the little jacket, he's got the funny claws coming at a funny angle, and he's got this funny little head. The sideburns. I mean, you know who it is without being had to ask now. Wolverine is a household name. This toy sucks, but it's kind of cool as far as these ones go. You want to know which one really sucks? You're not ready for this. This one. Look how awful this bow-legged champion is. He's got his bone claws. He's got the hat. Big old X belt buckle. He's just kind of hunched over, but he's got all this sweet hair. Big old chops. But this was part of a two-pack here. Him with the motorcycle that he can sort of ride. He can rock and roll on that hog. That juicy hog. But it came with a comic book Sabretooth figure. From the sister line, Universe line proper would only give us a re-release of this as part of a two-pack down the road with a different head. But this is money. I mean, minimal articulation, single-jointed elbows, nothing at the wrist, no ankle rocker, but look at that. Look at that. This is still nicer than that, like the Hyperion body Sabretooth from the Legends line, man. It just is. Anyway, I think I got through all the ones there that I wanted. I'm going to clear some of this crap off the table. Moving down my list here. This is the second Marvel Universe Wolverine. Came out in the same year. They did a series of Secret Wars-based two-packs with Secret Wars comics. And again, it's the same Wolverine. Perhaps sculpted for this in mind, or any and all of them in mind, because he does have the trunks with the wrinkles there. The same big bulbous body as the X-Force one, and even the same head. Yeah. So, you know, it's all wrong, but they're doubling down on it. Or tripling down, as it were. we would get the Tiger Stripe Classic here as part of a 2-pack with a hand ninja. And at least we got a unique head this time. It's a pretty nice sculpt. It's just up and wrong on this neck here, and the shoulder pads are terrible. And it's just generally terrible, but they were dirt cheap, and it's just what there was, and I was supporting something new. And look, there's a paint wash on there and everything, a darker yellow brushed over the lighter, and stuff that you just don't get anymore. Even though these were a third of the price. They were also very sturdy. One more. On that same body, like I showed off in the package here, this is the original funny shell head release. The one I have in the package is the re-release with the running change with a different head because of the outcry of how terrible those heads were. Yeah, these are actually separate pieces too, and they're not glued on. They're just tight enough that they don't fall off of the thing all the time. Did they learn nothing in 10 years? They learned that we're all suckers, right? They learned that we're all suckers. Look at all this crap. I know. I always had a soft spot for the Xavier School uniforms, you know. Even as infrequently as they wore these. It's almost more of a throwback to the old Toy Biz toy line.
They knew where the leg straps went 30 years ago.
Companies are like, well, we got to throw this one out. We got to throw this guy in the mix. Let me show you what I mean about this head, though. Pull this off of here, and it's just some funny little shell head. It's nothing, man. There's not room for a brain or teeth or a whole jaw. You know? We're just still in this big crazy body. No, no wrist hinge, nothing like that. But the blues and the yellows look nice. And again, he's got that nice paint wash, really accentuating the musculature, the painted on look of his clothes. And of course, for kicks, we're throwing in this one. I was able to score an extra brown and gold, and I repainted it this astonishing, as we did not yet have one. The Origins line actually had one in a 2-pack with Colossus, but I was never able to find that. That Origins line would give us, of course, this awful little security guard, whatever. You know what that's ripe for a repaint of, you know. But while we're back in movie mode, you know what else that gave us? This Ryan Reynolds Deadpool. He who should not be spoken of. But here we are, and it is fun to have this figure. You know what else comes out to play when he's nearby? I'm looking around listening for him because you just hear the wind whistling. And it's like, boom! He just shows up and knocks your block off. It's the Green Lantern. It's the tiny Green Lantern figure and the Deadpool figure. So these are prized possessions. So for the Universe line, a couple of years on, you know, they'd kick out this guy, the Team X variant. You know, did we ever dig deeper into that again since it's the Weapon Plus program? Is it Team 10? You know, it's not related. These things, it's just not related. This was Department H, Canadian Secret Service. They dress in bright yellow and kick your door in. But this is, it's not a bad figure. All the detail on it, they gave him a different head here with more comic book accurate, you know, big old gun here. And actually he came with an M16, looks like an A2 here with an underbarrel grenade launcher, because it's still got the carrying handle. And you would remove that with the rail system common on later variations of the same weapon system. Even still, he does have this little tiny leaf sight for the 203 sculpted up here. That's kind of fun. But it's not even the M4, the collapsible buttstock and a shortened barrel and things like that, like modern infantry would use. These are like Vietnam era. And it's funny that they don't. Just from my Universe line, I've got an entire pile of these M16s. And they've all got underbarrel grenade launchers, like they think that's just part and parcel. Not everybody's a frickin' grenadier. I was though. Now, of course, this is Hasbro. They know what they're doing, so we would get re-releases. They would milk this Wolverine thing for all that it's worth. This same one from the Origins line with a slightly different head, and they didn't paint the X on the belt. They gave it that more neutral, whatever kind of belt you got kind of thing. It's fine. It's this same sad sack little Wolverine. But it came with the Sentinel. Yes, the Marvel Masterworks series with lights and sounds for Don't Have a Heart Attack. $50, man. $50 for a Marvel Universe Sentinel with lights and sounds and perfect scale, you know. They're around 30 or so feet tall, right? And so to me, it's like the X-Men never really came higher than their knees. People never came higher than the knees. So that's what you want. How dare they try to re-release this with less detail for the Legends line for twice the price? And on it goes. They would re-release the brown and gold with a darker deco in a 2-pack with a new Sabretooth, with a darker deco and a different head. At the time, he was sort of rocking a shaggier haircut in the comics, you know. And again, it's that same Sabretooth. It looks great. I think these colors are great. These colors match, and it makes them look like two sides of a coin. I love the height difference here. The scaling is great. This is just a crusty, old, ball-jointed, awful figure that's from the Origins line, and then Universe repackages and pushes it out proper. They're like, here, try this again. Maybe you forgot. Not all bad. I was buying them all because A, I'm a sicko, and 2, because they were a third of the price of the stuff today. They also kicked out another variation using mostly the same parts as the blue and yellow as a first appearance Wolverine with a different head that looks spot on, but the pads, they've just gone a little far with the pads. Those are a little out there, man. They weren't space pads. Those are just too crazy looking. But otherwise, it's the one from before with perhaps just lighter colors. And it looks nice. Looks fine. Looks good enough for these. One more re-release on essentially the same build is you get this costumeless from the original ongoing series. They elected not to go for the smoky eye there, but it is just a terrible, terrible head sculpt. The claws, they tried to get a little bit bolder and have these all spread out. You can see the little housings are detailed there. But it's just, you know, it's nice for what they were offering, but overall, it's not a nice figure. Even though it's got, yeah, I mean, it's different colors of paint on here instead of just a black. It's blue, it's all of it, but it's ball jointed, hingeless, swivelless trash. You know what I mean? Just one for the archives. Several years into the line, we get an astonishing Wolverine, and you're like, cool, a whole new sculpt, back on a shorter frame. Why the hell are we ball jointed though here at the legs, and there's no bicep cut or any of that? But the sculpting is okay, and look, you get extra paint wash, detail, and all of this stuff. This nice looking little face with teeth, little teeth. And in fact, they would even repaint it in the X-Force colors and release it in an X-Force 3-pack with a Warpath and a Deadpool. But wait. Turns out that also back in 2008 at the Origins movie line, they released this figure initially with a Colossus and the head that they would later put on this one. So they're just kit bashing the stuff. They're waiting several years, seeing if you're paying attention. Well, I wasn't as much, I guess, or I just couldn't find that first release with the Colossus. I did try, but what, just so I could have 3 of the same figure? Just so I could have 3 of the same figure? And the legs are complete jank, man. Good luck trying to stand these things. They're just terrible. Wolverine deserves better. But apparently we kept buying them. It was good enough for them. They just keep pumping them out. They're just blossoming like a bouquet in my hand. And you know what? Before it gets any more weird, let's just go ahead and take a break right here. Boom! Twist it again! Try to keep up! Gives you a perfect opportunity to grab you a beverage, leave a like on this video, and go feverishly searching for part 2. Give it a minute, but it'll be right there, I promise. And if you want to see more from the universe, man, please subscribe to this channel, share it with your friends, and leave a comment. A little bit of engagement here, man. Let's talk about this thing. Let's talk a little bit about the